Long ago, in the days when kings led armies and prophets anointed shepherds, a great terror rose against the people of Israel. The Philistines, Israel's fierce enemies, marched into Judah, armed for war, their battle lines drawn near the valley of Elah. On one side of the valley stood the army of Israel, led by King Saul. On the other, the Philistines, their champion, bellowing across the field, towering, armored, undefeated. His name was Goliath of Gath. He was a giant of a man, over 9 feet tall. His bronze armor gleamed like the sun, 125 pounds of metal strapped to his body. A helmet of bronze covered his head, bronze greaves on his legs, and a javelin slung across his back. In his hand, he carried a spear like a weaver's beam, its iron tip alone weighing 15 pounds. A shield bearer walked before him. Every morning and every evening for 40 days, Goliath stepped forward and roared his challenge. "Why do you line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man among you. Let him come down to me. If he kills me, we will be your servants. But if I overcome him and kill him, you shall be our slaves." But there was no answer, not from Saul, not from the warriors. Fear gripped Israel's army. No man dared to face the giant. In Bethlehem, far from the battlefield, a young shepherd named David tended his father's sheep. The youngest of 8 sons, David was not a soldier, but he was chosen by God. The prophet Samuel had already anointed him in secret, because the Lord had seen David's heart. One morning, Jesse, David's father, called him and said, "Take this roasted grain and bread to your brothers on the battlefield, and bring back news." So David rose early, left the sheep with a keeper, and journeyed to the camp. As David arrived, the armies were assembling. The war cries rang out, and there once again stood Goliath, taunting, mocking, defying the living God. David heard the words, and something stirred within him. He turned to the men around him. "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" The soldiers were astonished. They told him what the king had promised: great riches, his daughter in marriage, and exemption for the victor's family. David's boldness reached King Saul, and David was summoned. Inside Saul's tent, the boy stood before the king, dusty, young, unafraid. David said, "Let no one lose heart. I will fight this Philistine." Saul replied, "You cannot go. You are just a boy, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David said, "I have kept my father's sheep. When a lion or bear came and took a lamb, I went after it. I struck it and rescued the lamb from its mouth. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." Saul looked at him, and something in David's eyes gave him pause. So the king said, "Go, and the Lord be with you." Saul tried to dress David in his own armor, but the boy could not walk in it. So David took it off. Instead, he took his staff in hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the brook, and placed them in his shepherd's pouch. With his sling in hand, he approached the giant. Across the valley, Goliath saw him and sneered, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" And he cursed David by his gods. "Come here, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." David's voice unfair and bold. "You come to me with a sword, spear, and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you down, and all will know that the Lord saves not with sword or spear, for the battle is the Lord's. And then it happened. David ran toward the giant. He reached into his pouch, pulled out a stone, loaded his sling, and let it fly. The stone sank into Goliath's forehead. The giant stumbled, then collapsed face first to the ground. Silence fell across the valley. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, no sword in his hand, just faith. He stood over Goliath, took the giant's own sword, and finished what the Lord had started. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel rose with a mighty shout, pursuing them from the valley to the gates of Ekron. That day, the boy from Bethlehem became a name spoken throughout Israel, not because of his size, not because of his armor, but because he trusted in the name of the Lord.